Thank you, Speaker. I rise to voice my support for Victims' Rights and Victims of Crime Commissioner Bill 2025 and set out why this reform is necessary, how it will operate and what it will deliver for victim survivors across New South Wales. The bill creates an independent Victims of Crime Commissioner and makes consequential amendments to the Victims' Rights and Support Act 2013 to implement that office and to establish a scheme executive to administer the Victims' Support Scheme. The bill also clarifies access to victim support counselling for relatives of people killed in road crimes that occurred prior to 1 February 2025. For too long, the role intended to protect and promote victims' rights has been constrained by structural conflicts. The current Commissioner of Victims' Rights is employed within the Department of Communities and Justice, is responsible for administering the Victim Support Scheme, and at the same time is expected to provide independent oversight and advocacy. That arrangement places the office holder in an untenable position and undermines public confidence. Victim survivors and their families have told us repeatedly that they need and deserve an advocate who is independent, who can speak plainly, investigate systemic failings and require accountability without being responsible for the delivery of those services. This bill delivers on our election commitment to provide that independent advocate. Our commitment states a Minns Labor government will appoint an independent Victims Commissioner who will act as an independent advocate for victims. Presently, the Commissioner is placed in the impossible situation of being responsible for the agency that delivers services to victims, while being expected to act as advocate for victims groups when the services are inadequate or inappropriate. Victims groups have told us repeatedly that they want an independent commissioner that is on their side. Under Labor, victim survivors and the families of victims will finally have the independent advocate that they have fought for, the independent advocate they have always deserved. Speaker, this is yet another example of how our government is delivering. Key features of the bill include the bill establishes the Victims of Crime Commissioner as an independent statutory officer appointed by the Governor and not subject to ministerial control or direction in the exercise of the Commissioner's functions. The Commissioner will have systemic advocacy powers to identify and review systemic issues affecting victims of crime and make recommendations to the Minister and to agencies responsible for service delivery. The Commissioner will oversee the Charter of Victims' Rights, receive complaints under the Charter and recommend remedial actions to public sector agencies, including apologies, training or policy reviews. The Commissioner will be able to request and require documents and information in relation to Charter complaints and enter into information sharing arrangements with agencies. The Commissioner will report annually to Parliament and may prepare special reports on matters arising from its functions. The Commissioner will not provide individual case advocacy or determine individual victim support schemes' entitlements, nor will the Commissioner conduct investigations that would prejudice active criminal investigations or proceedings. The bill provides for a Victims Advisory Committee to support and advise the Commissioner. This replaces the existing Victims Advisory Board and formalises direct, structured engagement with survivors, families and sector experts. The Victim Support Scheme will be administered by a scheme executive, a public servant responsible for decision-making and service delivery, the Special Victims Register and other administrative functions. This separation of responsibilities ensures independence in advocacy and clarity in service delivery. The bill contains consequential amendments to the Victims' Right and Support Act and related instruments and clarifies counselling availability for relatives of road fatality victims for incidents before 1 February 2025. The bill balances robust independence with transparency and accountability. The Commissioner will be accountable to Parliament through the statutory reporting requirements and will have powers to make findings and recommendations in the public interest. The scheme executive will be a public servant operating under the Government Sector Employment Act 2013, ensuring proper public sector governance for service delivery functions. This reform has been developed following consultation with government and non-government stakeholders, including legal practitioners, victims advocates and service providers. The model draws on best practice from other jurisdictions and reflects established approaches to independent statutory office holders in New South Wales. Speaker, this bill resolves a long-standing structural conflict and delivers our clear promise to victim survivors: an independent, empowered advocate who will stand for victims' rights and hold systems to account. It separates advocacy from service delivery, strengthens oversight of the Charter of Victims' Rights, and provides clearer pathways to support for families bereaved by road trauma. I commend the Victims' Rights and Victims of Crime Commissioner Bill 2025 to the House and ask members to support its passage so that victims, survivors and their families receive the independent voice and fair treatment they deserve.